This week, my daughter graduated from university, and just like any parent, I was incredibly proud. Really, very, very proud. Years of work, years of persistence, years of momentum. Some hard times, some fun times, some lonely times for our whole family, actually. And it struck me. The graduation wasn't the end of the journey. It was the removal of one of the biggest energy sources. For years, there'd been structure, deadlines, lectures, assignments, exams, and of course friends, and a clearly defined purpose. Without really noticing it, university had been continuously feeding energy into the system, and now that source is gone. When you think about it, that's true of almost everything in life. You finish a major project, maybe you sell a business, your children leave home, or maybe a career changes. Whatever it is, at some point, in many instances, one system stops supplying momentum. And from a momentum dynamics perspective, this is one of the most dangerous moments. Because you see, we often think that we've reached a finished state, like we've arrived or somehow crossed a finish line. But I'm not convinced we ever really do. Most human systems don't remain static, do they? They either receive or take in fresh energy and continue adapting, or they gradually drift towards disorder, a high state of entropy, let's say. That's not pessimism. It's simply how many complex systems behave, right? So if that's true, then the question naturally, therefore, becomes what replaces the energy that's just disappeared? For a graduate, it might be a career or further study. Maybe it's building a business or traveling. For someone leaving a long career, it might be mentoring, advanced learning, volunteering, or maybe taking up a new hobby. For an entrepreneur finishing a major launch, it might be the next product, the next partnership, or the next challenge. To be honest, the specific answer doesn't really matter, but the principle does. Momentum dislikes a vacuum. When one meaningful source of movement disappears, something eventually and inevitably fills the space. The only question is whether you choose what that is, or whether entropy chooses for you. That's one of the reasons I rarely think in terms of endings anymore. I prefer to think in terms of transitions these days. Every completion is also an invitation, not to rush into the next thing, but to consciously decide where the next source of growth is going to come from. And perhaps that's one of the hidden purposes of momentum. Not simply to keep us moving, but to help us to transition from one meaningful chapter into the next without allowing unnecessary decay to take hold. Because life isn't really a series of finish lines, is it? When you think about it, it's a series of energy transfers. And the quality of those transfers, well, that often determines the quality of the very next chapter that follows.